Hi there! So Pokemon Quest, the new free-to-play Switch Pokemon game, was released a couple of days ago. So I wanted to go through some of the things I've learned from playing the game these last 2 days. And you might not have known about some of these things, and you could find them useful. So first of all, I wanted to talk about the way you actually control the game during expeditions. There are basically 3 main options. You can touch the screen of the Switch, which is the method that is recommended in-game. You can use the control stick to drag the cursor over the move or button that you want, or you can use the buttons on the Switch controllers themselves. This third method is my preferred method since it means you don't have to worry about fat fingering while touching the screen, and it allows for much faster button inputs than dragging the cursor along the screen. So B to scatter, L and R to switch Pokemon, X and Y to choose moves. It's very simple, but I found it much easier to play with this method. It might not be for everyone, but it's worth trying out all 3 to see which one you find most comfortable. So next up is ingredients and cooking. There are a number of different recipes available in the game that will spawn certain Pokemon depending on the dish you've cooked. This means if you want a specific Pokemon, you can just look up the recipe and keep redoing that specific one until you get the Pokemon you want. Cerebi.net has already gotten a table that is still being updated that lists recommended items for every recipe and the Pokemon that can appear when using those recipes. So make sure you check it out so you can build a strong team as soon as possible. And also remember that the better the pot is that you use, the higher the level will be of the Pokemon that arrives. So next we have decorations. You can buy a load of decorations for real world cash with the special bundles, which will speed up your game progress by an enormous amount, but you do get some decorations for beating levels in the game. You're probably better off saving all of your PM tickets for some of the more expensive decorations, rather than just spending them on the ones that cost 50. So yes, employ a little bit of willpower here and save up. Evolving Pokemon. You can evolve every single Pokemon in Pokemon Quest just by getting them to a certain level. There are no evolution stones or trading methods, so you can get Pokemon like Alakazam, Machamp, Gengar, just by leveling your Pokemon up to a certain level. Work is still being done to confirm the evolution stages of some of these Pokemon, but there's a list here on RPG site that is already decently fleshed out. So Kadabra, for example, evolves at level 36 into Alakazam, similarly to most starter Pokemon. Eevee has a special evolution case, where it's believed that it evolves into Jolteon, Flareon, or Vaporeon at level 36, depending on which battle slot it's in when it levels up. So you can read more about that on the page, that would be linked in the description. So next, we have move learning and training. I personally haven't found the training to be all that useful in this game yet, however move learning is probably one of the most important features of this game. You pop one Pokemon in that wants to learn a new move, and you use your existing Pokemon as fodder that gets used up, and they leave forever after the move learning is done. So if the fodder Pokemon, air quotes, is the same type as the Pokemon you're trying to teach the move to, it will have a much higher success rate. Using a Pokemon from the same evolution line also increases the success rate by a ton. So for example, I can use either a Machop or my Hitmonlee, which will both give a 100% success rate to teach a new move to my Machoke. But a Pokemon of a higher level with a different type to my main Pokemon will only give up to a 20% success rate. So just use Pokemon with the same types. Do remember, however, it's random what move you get given, so you might have to do it a few times until you get a move that you actually want. So next we have Power Stones. Doing the harder levels will give you the best Power Stones to equip to your Pokemon. There's also an expedition bonus which will give you a guaranteed good stone when you finish the next expedition. It's a good idea to check after almost every expedition to make sure you didn't get a better stone while you were out exploring, so you can put it on your team. If you get 3 stones in a row, you'll get a bingo line and added bonuses to your stats. You might not always have the slots open, but just be aware of it for later on in the game. Gold stones are usually the best stones to have equipped due to the amount of bonus stats they give, but if it has a really low base stat or health on the stone, you may be better off with just a flat upgrade stone that gives you 100 extra damage. Now here are some expedition battling tips. Use auto mode if you're just grinding for stones and to finish cooking, but always do fights manually if you're looking to progress through the levels. The auto feature doesn't use the dodge button, so your Pokemon end up tanking big attacks from bosses that you could have avoided by pressing B. The AI isn't always perfect when it comes to using buffing skills either. The buffing moves are really quite good, because some increase both the damage you deal and reduce the amount of damage you take. You don't need to use these buffing moves every time they're up, like attacking moves, because they'll last a set amount of time. Always start a confrontation with enemies by buffing up first, then using an attacking move after. Buff before you get into the fight, so you can start off with a very strong attack as soon as you get in. This will reduce the amount of damage you take overall, since you'll kill things a lot quicker. Some Pokemon don't even have any attacking moves that you can use when they're a lower level, so you just buff with them and let them attack naturally. Just ensure that you're keeping track of all the buffs and debuffs on your Pokemon while you're taking on enemies. But here are some extra things not to forget. Collect 50 PM tickets every 24 hours from the Pokemart. Collect a new Pokemon every day or so that randomly walks to your base camp, which normally sits around the top left-hand corner of your base. Doing quests and challenges will give you a ton of rewards, so make sure you do as many as you can when you can. Speeding up battery charges and recipes isn't optimal if you don't have all the decorations unlocked already, so focus on doing quests which give battery charges as a reward if you're a little bit impatient. But those are all the tips that I have for now. I'm sure we'll end up finding even more new stuff, and the game might keep getting updated for forever until we have the full Pokédex in-game. But if there's anything else that you know of, leave it in the comments so that we can help out other people. But I hope this helped out. Again, if you've got any other questions, leave a comment. But for now, thank you for listening, and take care.